Happy Tuesday. Welcome in. You are live with RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. A little CB, early CB. You know, when was that? The second album? Yeah, this was with him and T-Pain. This is the video where he was like dueling himself, right? There was an evil Chris Brown that was an athlete football player, and he played like the nerd mascot. Oh, little CB. At any rate, welcome in. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I am, of course, your host, Jill Munroe. This is the show where we hit all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I hope that you have had an amazing day and you are ready to chill and enjoy this conversation, this topical conversation that we have for you this evening. Of course, before we get into all of these trending topics and headlines, I want to make sure you're following us on social media. Hit us up everywhere, KBLA 1580. Make sure you are following me personally at Stiletto Jill. Also, if you want the visual to go along with this audio experience, hit up the YouTube chat. It is there. It's always bustling. There's always additional conversation that goes down in there. And just in case you want to take us with you on the go, download the app. You know, you can listen to any of the shows at your leisure. And there's even a voice message feature on there where you could leave a message for anyone. So get into that. And of course, if you want to call in and add your opinion to any of the topics that we cover tonight, 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. That is the way that you can tap in and connect. Now, let me tell you what we are going to be getting into tonight on the show, a rundown. So we started with Chris Brown, early Chris Brown. And, you know, that goes into one of our topics for tonight. In hour one, we're going to be talking about Chris Brown has said that he thinks it's time for him to leave LA. Do we think this is a good move for him? Do we think that this will, you know, change the perspective or the thought on CB? He has a new album coming out in a couple weeks. We'll get into that. We're also going to talk about a former cast member of Love and Hip Hop Miami. He is spilling the tea on his celebrity hookups. And some people are saying it's in poor taste. So we're going to get into that and who he named names from. One of them is even somebody's mom. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to get into the statement that was released by DJ Envy's lawyer. Don't know if you've been keeping up, but there are some fraud allegations that are surrounding DJ Envy. His business partner, Cesar Pena, was arrested by the feds and is being charged with some pretty serious things. And, you know, people are looking at DJ Envy and they have questions. And so his lawyer has released a statement. So we'll get into that too. Now, of course, before we get into all of the topics for the night, you know, we have a couple of conversation starters. These are topics or things that I think that you need to be aware of, but we may not have time to get into a full in-depth conversation about them tonight. So first up, we have to send condolences to the family of Richard Roundtree. He's an actor, groundbreaking actor, known for the Shaft movie franchise. He passed away today at 81 years old, was announced on social media. He had been dealing with the effects of cancer for the last few years, so I'm not sure if that is the cause of his death, but want to send condolences to his family and all the fans who have appreciated him and his work over the years. I got a chance to interview him, Samuel L. Jackson, and Jesse T. Usher about maybe 3 or 4 years ago when they were doing the Shaft, and you know, they were Shaft, the granddad Shaft, I guess at that point. Samuel was the current Shaft, and Jesse was Samuel's son, his son with Regina King in that film. So that was a treat. So yeah, sending our flowers out to him. Check out, you know, Shaft. Soundtrack is amazing. And honor him today. Also, We talked about it last night, and it's been a conversation on social media. Dinner with Jay-Z or 500,000. Jay-Z has finally said on the record, take the 500K, listen to my music to get the gems, or read decode it. But there's one person that says, listen, Dinner with Jay-Z made me millions. Rick Ross, he has a new album with Meek Mill. They're doing Kobe and Shaq, that's their thing. But he revealed that prior to his 2008 album Trilla, he had dinner with Jay at Philippe Chow in New York. And he said that Jay-Z told him to write songs for their intended impact instead of just rapping over the beats that he likes. And for Ross, he said that did wonders, not only cutting his workload in half, but seeing him make better choices as far as song selections for albums. So he said that it taught him to work smarter, not harder. Jay hopped on the album, of course. Maybach music that started with that album. I love that intro. Rose gives opulent, luxurious music. Decadent. That is a great word. Decadence. That's what I feel when I listen to Rick Ross. Very rich, very yacht life. So, he said that Dinner with Jay-Z catapulted him to another level. But Rick Ross was already an established artist. So kind of different situation. Listen, if somebody was offering you $100 or dinner with Jay-Z, take the $100 probably, because Jay's not going to give you no gems. He said he already gave them to you. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You were locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. I hope that you guys are ready to get into these topics, these trending topics and headlines of the day. VIPs, we always have the scoop. So listen, last night we talked about the rumor that Rihanna signed a $32 million deal with Live Nation and that she was preparing to drop 2 albums and go on a world tour the end of 2025. Well, unfortunately, it's looking like those may have just been rumors, right? So, according to an insider, and this is per the Neighborhood Talk, reports that she is prepping for a musical comeback are not true, and that the price sounds fake to them, and no tour has been confirmed. So these first were put out, the rumors of it, I believe, in the Daily Mail. Might have been someone else before that. But, I mean, I don't know. It would have been exciting, especially seeing as she's recently stepped down as CEO of Fenty brand. So you thought, well, initially the thought was, okay, she's making room for family time. She obviously has a newborn, two small children, two under two, but apparently not. She's not coming back to music, which I kind of get. You know, she wants to be a mom for a while, relax. She's running a billionaire company. Why rush? Why deal with the headache of it? You know, you do what you want when you're popping, and Rihanna has a lot of things popping right now. But we would like to see her. Some are just fine with what she did at Super Bowl or what she didn't do at Super Bowl. It's all on perspective, right? At any rate, and so listen, this is something that I think we've all thought about or considered that it may be possible. But do you think that at any point you've ever had a social media addiction? Like, can't stay off of Instagram, can't close it, keep going back and looking at your story, laughing at your own jokes a million times, or, creeping on somebody else's thing, using a burner account, whatever. Well, there are several states, including California, about a dozen states, that are coming together to sue Meta Platforms. That's the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, for harming the mental health of young people across the country, knowingly. So this is according to KABC Los Angeles, Channel 7. The lawsuit was filed in federal court, and the claims state that the company collects the data of users under 13 without parental consent, which is a violation of federal laws. It said that kids and teenagers are suffering from record levels of poor mental health, and social media companies like Meta are to blame. This is per the New York Attorney General, Letitia James. She said platforms such as Instagram and Facebook are accused of implementing addictive features intentionally, which studies have found take a toll on the esteem of young people. And I believe that to be true. You think about even with likes, like even with registering your likes, you have to keep checking back. It doesn't necessarily show you your likes in real time because they want you to keep having that dopamine hit of going back and looking and seeing how many times the like button has been hit for you or what's happening with that. So I believe that to be true. I definitely know that they do things to keep you in the apps longer, keep your user time to increase. So I mean, to get those impressions, but not only that, so they can show you more ads because they want you to stay in the app. They don't want you. It's one of the reasons why you look at Elon Musk, and he is making it so that links to news organizations and things like that aren't as visible in the tweets or whatever they're called on X at this point. It's because he doesn't want you to click out of the app. He feels like, if I'm sending you other places, it's the reason why, for example, on Instagram, they would lower in the algorithm if you had a reel that had a TikTok logo on it.
So it's all business.
It's all business. It's all to keep you there so they can show you more ads, so they can get more money for advertisers, so they can keep you in the loop. Same thing with the algorithm, why they, push you down in it or don't show people, and then they push, well, listen, if you buy an ad, you're going to reach everybody. You can get started with $5 and it'll get you thousands of more impressions. Would you say?
So I've done it before to promote musicians and bands, and it does work. It's very effective, especially if you know like what audience you're targeting.
Yep.
It's great.
It does. But here's the thing. They know all of that information from all of the stuff that they've gathered about user habits that, listen, nothing is free. So we think we're getting these free social media platforms, but we are paying in our data and in our habits. And they probably know some things about you that you don't even know about yourself at this point. So they know if you hover over an image for 3 seconds or longer, that probably means you like it. They know what type of mood you're in depending upon what you're scrolling. It's really intense stuff when you really think about it. So the lawsuit comes after shocking reports that came from attorney generals here in California, Florida, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Nebraska, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Vermont. The research found that Meta knew of its harmful tools aiding in the deterioration of teenage mental health and body issues, especially among teenage girls. An internal study found that 13% of teen girls experience worse suicidal thoughts when on Instagram, and 17% say it worsened their eating disorders. A spokesperson for Meta released a statement saying, "We share the Attorney General's commitment to providing teens with safe, positive experiences online and have already introduced over 30 tools to support teens and their families." They also expressed disappointment with the lawsuit and say that the Attorney General should have been working or strove to work collaboratively to create an age-appropriate standard. And according to the Pew Research Center, 95% of young people aged 13 to 17 in the U.S. report using a social media platform, with more than a third saying they use social media almost constantly. So, listen, we all know it. We've seen it. We've seen the change in just how adults approach certain things as far as social media. Think about how over the years, Instagram really started getting popular about 2010, 2011. That's when early adopters got in. Think about how different your Instagram feed was initially, what people would put, right? Just regular things. Now everything is curated to within an inch of your life. It has to have pretty angles and pretty colors. Nothing is natural about it because it's all there to present an aesthetic.
Everything is manufactured.
It is. Everything is manufactured. I hate that aesthetic is a buzzword now, that aesthetic itself is an aesthetic, And I do think that, but I think it's maybe not too late, but I mean, I think it's really, really difficult to say how you're going to pull back the reins and readjust. Sure, there are timers that are loaded into Instagram now. It'll tell you to take a break and things of that nature. But the program, the blueprint of how to succeed on Instagram has been set. We know that showing skin seems to work. There's certain things.
The cat is already out the bag.
Yeah.
The horse is already out the stable. So it's hard to really rein it back in now or try to shift how we do things.
Exactly. So unless they plan to reconfigure the algorithm so that those type of looks or things aren't the most popular things, if they're going to do like a China and only push up things that are educational or, however they run their TikTok and things over there, I don't know how much can be fixed. But you have to think, of course, body image issues are happening for teens. I'm sure they're happening for a lot of adults as well. The constant exposure, the photoshopping, the apps to smooth this, blur this, pull this out here.
Facetune making money. And it probably wouldn't make as much money without Instagram and social media.
I wonder over the past, because, again, boob jobs have been around for a while, nose jobs, BBLs have existed. Of course, they've exploded in popularity over the 2010s, partially, Kardashians to thank for that. But I wonder how much social media has increased business for plastic surgeons. We see them utilizing it and marketing it. Sometimes it's crazy to me when I see the surgeons in there, lipoing someone's thighs out and smiling and rapping along to a rap song. I want you to focus.
Yeah, the surgeon, you having too much fun right now while you do this. I know you trying to make me look the best that I imagine myself to be, but this is still a medical procedure.
Correct. I don't want you dancing around doing hip hop and
TikTok trends.
throwing the fat on the table to display. No, thank you. First, it was really informative because I do think the realities of seeing what happens in surgery was important. I think that that was something because people, have this idealized idea, oh, just go in there, snip, snip, and we're done. Boom, I'm back, right? And no, it's a real surgical procedure. Serious things happen. It's a lot of blood, a lot of cutting.
Serious complications can happen.
Correct. And so I do think from that aspect, social media has been good, but everything has a good and a bad to it. And obviously, people want to get their body done. They don't even say surgery anymore. Get my body done. Just the whole thing. Uh, but I do feel like, and it's such a shame that it's always been like this, so let's not pretend, but that, body types are trendy. So now we're seeing things go in another direction, but I don't think that that necessarily means that that will erase the body image issues that have been created because these celebrities can afford to add on, take off as they see fit. And we see a lot of botched ones. We talk about it, but not everybody else can. So I don't know, think wisely, move wisely. Okay. So Chris Brown, CB, the 35-year-old Grammy Award winning singer, shared on Instagram the other day that Cali will always be his second home. He said that LA, it's been fun. Cali will always be my second home, but I think it's time for me to try something different. And he put a heart emoji. I think this is a good idea for Chris. I've been kind of thinking for a while now. And granted, he hasn't been in the same type of situations, I don't feel, as much as he has been in prior years. Although there was that thing last June with him and Usher, but that was in Vegas, right? But him, Usher, and Tiana Taylor. But I do think getting away from California, from LA, might be good for him. A change of pace, different things. But why do I have the feeling like he's going to be talking about moving to like Vegas, which I don't know. And he didn't say where he was planning on moving, but I think if he moves someplace like Vegas, Houston, Miami, maybe not as great.
It could get worse.
But he does seem to be in a better place for himself as of late. He seems more mature, more calm. I had a friend that hung out with him in Vegas, I think during the Spence Crawford fight. And they said, he seemed really more settled. He was with his girl, just chilling, not on some other stuff. He's, getting older. So I would like to see that for him. Although, and this has nothing to do with him moving. Chris has a new album that he's dropping on November 11th, his 11th album. And it was only supposed to be 11 songs. But now he's revealed that it's going to be a double album and there's going to be 22 songs. And I just feel like, Chris, the point was to pare down and give us a really tight album. I really think that part of the thing with Chris is that he puts out so much music and it's not vetted. Exactly. It hasn't had the time to sit creatively. And I feel as though he would benefit from a really good A&R. He probably doesn't let anyone guide him, but I think his projects are too long and he would be better served if he picked the cream of the crop and put together a really nice, tight package. I saw some of the visuals for this new album that's coming out, he put out. And I appreciate that it was a more mature look, But listen, also, California is a high tax rate state. Let's think about that. So there are some financial benefits that could come from moving out of here. We have high crime right now. It's a situation. A lot is happening. And, a lot of celebrities have been leaving in recent years, but different type of celebrities from Chris, the Joe Rogans, Mark Wahlbergs, Hilary Swanks, those type of people, they've headed out. Again, no word on exactly where he's headed to, but he has dealt with numerous issues at his home in Tarzana over the years, noise complaints, standoffs, people making accusations of situations happening in his home. I think it's been the last maybe November 2019 where he had a 2-day yard sale that fans all came to his house because everybody knows where Chris Brown lives in LA. That doesn't mean everybody can get in there, but I feel like it's no secret. People have always talked about that. So I don't know. I think it would be a good for him. And, maybe after his 11th album, maybe he'll take some time away. And then when he comes back with number 12, he'll give us a tightly A&R'd album, or maybe he'll get his Tiana Taylor on and develop another artist underneath him or produce somebody else. I wonder if he's ever considered that. I mean, I know in the early times, but I wonder, like, right now, what are Chris's next things? Because you think about, too, he could have had such a career in acting, and he hasn't gone back to that. And I think that's interesting. And I wonder if it is Hollywood not looking for him or if it's just not something he's interested in. You have an opinion? No? Okay. I thought you might have had some intel for me, like you might have saw something. I am curious about that, though, because I feel like, recording is brutal, but, being on set is too. I don't know. We'll see. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is on the other side.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A Baltimore, Maryland judge has sentenced 16-year-old black squeegee worker Tavon Scott to 15 years for manslaughter in the shooting death of Timothy Reynolds near the Inner Harbor. Former President Obama says an Israeli ground invasion of the Gaza Strip could backfire if Palestinian civilians are not protected. Israel has been gearing up for an attack, calling up more than 300,000 reservists after a Hamas attack this month killed more than 1,000 Israelis. Elon Musk thinks a World War III is possible. The billionaire said in a talk on a social media platform X that the war between Israel and Hamas, along with Russia's continued war in Ukraine, raises the potential of a third world war. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com. Stay safe out there. Have a great Tuesday.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? The accident guys can come to you almost anywhere, so you don't have to come to us. Se habla español.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black. Follow the leader. When the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. 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 Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency on low Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Hey Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
When I reach the road, you and your knit can't do nothing for you. These girls ain't loyal. Whoa, these girls ain't loyal. Yeah, let me see. Just got rich, took a broken. I can make a broken rich, but I don't fuck a broken.
This song ran the summer a couple years ago. What was it, 2019, I feel? I think so. Listen, Chris Brown will come with a bop, no matter how you feel. He's going to come with at least one song that's going to stick. It's going to stick. Welcome back into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. VIPs, I hope that you are, enjoying your evening and that you are interested in the topics and headlines that we're discussing tonight. So listen, there's been a lot of conversation about Jonathan Majors and Megan Good and what their status is. Now, recently we know that Jonathan has been accused of an altercation with an ex-girlfriend, and that case has been pushed back but is headed to court. There's also some accusations by the prosecution that lawyers for Jonathan are trying to muddy the waters, so to speak, by releasing false information or narratives to the press about the accuser. So we'll see what happens with that. But there's another thing that is circling the drain. A rumor about Jonathan and his new maybe girlfriend. They haven't officially come out and claimed each other, but they've been spotted everywhere together. Actress Megan Good. So in September, Jonathan sparked a little conversation when they were at the Congressional Black Caucus 8th Annual Black and White Gala, and he was asked to speak on the mic, and he said, "Y'all heard the missus," referring to Megan, "so that's what it is." So of course people were like, "Missus, what? Did they get married? What's going on? What's happening? Or did they jump the broom? Is this their way of telling us?" But, no proof. So once again, though, the subject has come up. There's a legal correspondent who posted on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. It's really just Twitter, y'all. And I am not mistaken or misspoken if I just call it Twitter, because naming it X is ridiculous. They don't even have a proper name for what a tweet is that correlates with the letter X. Like, all of it is dumb. But that's a conversation for another day. At any rate, the journalist is named Dennis Byron. And on Monday, he posted Megan Good Majors, congrats. So, social media went crazy asking questions. Where's the proof? Is there a marriage license? What's going on? I know you lying. People are upset. They think Megan is making a mistake. They want to know what's really going on. So we're waiting. We're waiting to see what develops. There were some stories out that the accuser was going to be arrested, or because something about there was a domestic violence incident prior that was being accused of her. Those have proved to be false. I'm sure that is what is being alleged, that maybe Jonathan's team is leaking. Don't know for sure, but we'll keep our eye on this case and on Jonathan and Megan if they pop up married, if we see any wedding bands anywhere. I don't know. But how would you feel if they got married? I'd love some opinions on that. Like, does it matter? Are they just living life? Or does it seem all too convenient considering what Jonathan has been going through as of late? We will see. We'll see how it all plays out, of course. So, anyway, let me ask you, are you offended when celebrities ask followers to donate to a GoFundMe for someone else? This has come up. It's come up before, but essentially, Tiny asked her followers, Tiny as in Tiny of Escape, T.I. and Tiny, Tamika Harris. She posted a GoFundMe for a bodyguard sentenced to a year in jail in Dubai. And he reportedly was working for Trey Songz at the time. He allegedly stepped in to protect Trey from a crazed fan. Cornell Whitfield, that is the security guard's name. He was sentenced to a year in jail after he put himself in front of Trey to stop a man who was attempting to confront Trey as they left their 5-star hotel in Dubai to go to a club. According to reports, the man was an aggressive hotel guest who approached Trey and his group shouting, swearing, and waving his arms. As part of the singer's security detail, the Miami bodyguard said that he tapped the man's face in order to de-escalate the situation, which was caught on the hotel cameras. He's also, Cornell is Lil' Kim's personal bodyguard and has worked for several celebrities. So he didn't think too much about the incident. He came back to the U.S. and the actual incident took place last March. But he went back to Dubai in August and was immediately arrested when he touched down. He was booked on assault and because the man that he tapped, so he said, filed a criminal complaint. He has to pay the man $60,000 to have the charges thrown out. But because he was unable to raise a cash payment, he was sentenced to a year in jail. So he's currently out on bail. He's not allowed to leave the UAB. So his lawyers filed an appeal, right? And he's released a statement saying, I was just doing my job. The man appeared erratic, as if he was drunk or on drugs. I tapped his face to jolt him out of whatever he was doing, and it had the right effect. He backed off, and that was the end of the matter. I just want to go home to my family. The whole thing has been a nightmare. I know Lil' Kim was very upset as what is taking place. But that's a separate issue from the controversy that hit Tiny. So she posted using her, social media to help raise $60,000 in a GoFundMe. She said that he's a father of 2, helped to get him back home to Miami. She shared the link via her Instagram story, but fans are upset saying, well, why doesn't Trey, Lil' Kim, and her get together and just give him the money instead of asking fans to contribute? So what I want to know is, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that celebrities are out of pocket for sharing GoFundMes that they could in theory, because we don't know realistically what their financial resources are, or it shouldn't necessarily fall to one person to cover it, depending upon what the situation is. But are you offended when celebrities post links to GoFundMe's? Is it just them sharing information, or do you think it's taking advantage of their platform because they should be doing more? Especially, and I'm not saying that this is the case with Tiny because I haven't checked the GoFundMe, but with some celebrities, I know there have been times where they've shared a link for a GoFundMe and people have pointed out that the celebrity themselves hasn't donated to it, but are looking to their fans to support this. So, is that offensive to you? Do you have a problem with celebrities sharing GoFundMe campaigns? What Tiny said is, we are asking for your help. $60K is what we are trying to raise to bring Champ back to the States. The situation is unfortunate and he does not deserve to be treated any kind of way for doing his job. He is a family man and a loving father who deserves to be with his loved ones. To donate, there's a link posted in my stories. Bring him home. Thank you. But fans think that one of his former employers should be footing the bill for that, especially, i.e., the one that he was there protecting.
I kind of agree with that. If you feel strongly enough to post it to everybody, to show everybody, like, hey, come donate to this, you should at least have given something. I mean, you don't have to front the whole 60 bands, but, a 5 or 10 might be helpful. I think that that's important. If you're going to attempt to spread charity, you also have to be charitable.
I agree with that 100%. Now, I don't think that, it's unrealistic to think that every celebrity or wealthy person, can or has the means to fund every worthwhile charitable endeavor or things of that nature. But I don't know if Tiny contributed or not, but I do think there is something to be said. I guess maybe Trey Songz is dealing with his own legal issues right now, so he might need to hold on to his coins for all of these cases that seem to be raining down on him. But it is interesting, on one hand, you have this platform, there are millions of people following you, so utilizing it to get the word out. It takes a village for all things. And if you have 5 million followers and every follower, even half of your followers gave $1, you'd be beyond what you needed.
Goal.
So, it really doesn't take that much individually to contribute. But I do understand the fatigue that some fans feel because it's like, buy my album, buy my movie, buy my product. Follow me here, follow me there, go listen. It feels, I guess, very,
I think they see that it seems like a very low risk investment for them. Like they're not really putting in the required dues to get this particular subject matter out there and known. Like if it's so important for him to get back, like there should be a level of self-investment that you're participating in as well, outside of just telling people,
right.
Outside of just essentially handing out the business cards to people.
And then the thing that you wonder sometimes with things like that, is it just somebody pressuring you like, please post this for us, please post this for us, and you aren't even really that invested in it as well? This is your way of not getting involved but being involved, kind of like, hey, this is what I could do for you.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't think the fans would be happy regardless of how it's posited, though. Do you remember when Virgil Abloh donated to Black Lives Matter? And I think he donated about $50, and everybody clowned him for that. But it's like, we don't really know what his pockets were really like then. But there was like this expectation for him to donate this staggering amount of money. So I do feel like, let's say Tiny did donate. If it wasn't the amount that a fan says it should have been, is it almost like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't?
I think you are. I think that in some of these cases, people have expectations in their mind of what celebrity is and what is acceptable for you to contribute. And you got it. You don't know what they have. But
you think it's like we're entitled as like consumers of media? Do you think it's like we're entitled to pocket watch these people, so to speak. Like, oh, like you got it. I know you have it. I know you should be able to do this and do that.
I think that it is a byproduct of hip hop culture in a way, because one part of hip hop culture is very, very much braggadocious. You know, you look online, people are showing you their wealth, you know, their beautiful homes. Oh, we're doing construction. We have 50 bedrooms being added on the East Wing.
Or you got DJ Envy taking pictures in front of the cars.
Correct. And I think that, you know, that is a very, you know, we aren't the only ones that like to peacock and show out. But I think that it is very much a part of hip hop culture. You got to stunt on them, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, even in my generation, all the time, flexing on them, stunting on them. Not me per se, but I understand where the aspiration comes from. It's really been programmed into us by hip hop.
So I think that people automatically assume, one, I think for celebrities, they feel like if they don't show these things on social media, there's a validation point that's missing for them or for their fans. Like, well, where's your da-da-da-da? And why aren't you doing this? But then when you start showing these things, or your ice, or I got my grills, or whatever it is, you know, 28-inch bust down lace, only the finest, you know, silk. I paid $2,000 for this wig, and I'm going to have Arrogant Tay, you know, melt the lace and whatever.
Do you think that it has to do with, like, the way that maybe a musician or a hip-hop artist or even an actor presents themselves or markets themselves in the game? Because I do see artists like J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar or even Donald Glover who definitely have the bands but don't feel the necessity to flex them, and then by way of that, it seems like there's no expectation from them. Like, no one's asking J. Cole to come pull out a Lamborghini. Like, they know where he stands with as far as like his image, so there's less of that pressure to when people are scrolling. They see J. Cole doesn't have a Lamborghini on his Instagram or whatever. They're not as pressed about the issue. They're not asking, oh, are they going broke? Oh, is this happening? Is that happening?
I definitely think it's one, how you present and market yourself. And those guys definitely, you know, presented themselves as, we are of the people. We are, you know, in this here. Whereas, you know, a lot of other rappers, that's not what hip hop is about. It is about dominating and being above you. I'm towering over you in every capacity. My whip, my chick, my funds, you know, whatever. And so I think that when people see, you know, the vacations and the gear and the jewelry and like, oh, you know, T.I. would pop out on Tiny's birthday and it's like, here's 2 cars and a $50,000 Audemars, you know, watch. So the expectation is, well, this is a worthy cause and you're blowing money fast on these insignificant things. Why aren't you stepping up? I think it is that. And we definitely feel, when I say we, not me personally, society at this point feels entitled to a lot of opinions in areas that maybe I feel like in the past, maybe you'd have a passing conversation, but you don't. There's a difference now where we feel pressed to let people know, well, I feel very strongly about this and I feel this way. And if you don't agree, you're hating, you know? The haterism is strong.
That is the benefit of having a platform. And no matter how prominent or non-prominent your platform is, the idea that I can go onto the internet, speak my mind about something, and it be visible to the entirety of the world. First off, it's a relatively new concept. Correct. Just within the cultural zeitgeist in itself. But also, it lends itself to a sense of feeling like we're encouraged to share things that are in our minds that maybe don't need to be broadcast or advertised or may have a particular influence on other people that may be unhealthy.
Nobody believes in diaries and journals anymore, or secret keepers. When we come for more trending topics and headlines, you are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
This season, your coffee orders are getting warmer. and your outfits are getting cozier. The world keeps changing, and so does COVID-19. That's why this season's COVID-19 shots have been updated. They're one of the best ways to help protect yourself against COVID-19. You can get a COVID-19 shot at the same visit as a flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Talk to your healthcare provider to learn more and schedule at vaccines.gov. And don't forget to get extra cinnamon spice. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? 'Cause everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Yeah, I told you it is definitely memoir season, right? We have, who we talked about? Jada. I have some Jada memoir news. A little early, but something to share about that. We've had Kerry Washington as of late, Rich Paul. Who else? John Stamos, who we'll talk about later. That was which uncle on, what is the show that used to come on Friday nights with the twins? Not Step by Step, that came on there too. No, it was the ABC Friday night things with the Olsen twins in the house. And yeah, what was the show called though? Full House, that's it. Yep, Full House. So Uncle Danny on there or whatever, he has a memoir coming out, and we know that Britney Spears, I think hers dropped today or tomorrow. Well, the audio portion of it is being read by actress Michelle Williams. And so we've heard some tidbits about it, but listen, this clip that has been circulating today is hilarious. So Britney was sharing how she felt that Backstreet Boys were a group that was really trying to represent for white people, for white kids, a white audience. But NSYNC had a little more flavor to them as far as she felt, right? But Britney said that because they thought that they were a little cool and, you know, they had a couple of connections to hip hop or whatever, that they would try hard. And she shared a story in the book about Justin Timberlake trying to bop up to Genuine with with what he thought was hip hop talk, for lack of a better term. So let's listen to Britney Spears' story as narrated by actress Michelle Williams about Justin Timberlake trying to befriend Genuine.
His band NSYNC was what people back then called So Pimp. They were white boys, but they loved hip-hop. To me, that's what separated them from the Backstreet Boys, who seemed very consciously to position themselves as a white group. NSYNC hung out with black artists. Sometimes I thought they tried too hard to fit in. One day, Jay and I were in New York, going to parts of town I'd never been to before. Walking our way was a guy with a huge blinged-out medallion. He was flanked by 2 giant security guards. Jay got all excited and said so loud, "Oh yeah, faux shiz, Genuine, what's up, homie?" After Genuine walked away, Felicia did an impression of Jay. "Oh yeah, faux shiz, Genuine." Jay wasn't even embarrassed. He just took it and looked at her like, "Okay, fuck you." His band NSYNC was...
So listen, first of all, what is so pimp, Britney? I don't think I've ever in life heard that terminology. Come on, man. I don't know if that's a real thing, but we'll accept it. We'll take it from you. Justin Timberlake, faux shiz. What is that? And Michelle Williams acting that out is crazy. But you think about that time, and that's when Justin would every now and again pop up with cornrows. He would rock his little bandana to some of their performances. And, later on, they did work with some hip hop producers on some of their stuff. I mean, both NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, I think, were in their choreography bag. I did prefer NSYNC. I think about the Celebrity album that had Gone. They had songs on there that seemed to feel a little more R&B-esque, but that was also around the time when Justin was like going on 106 in Park, flirting with Free. It did feel very CW Fox in the 80s. I'm gonna get the hype off with the urban crowd to make myself seem cooler to release my stuff. And it worked for a little bit. It did. But then it did not, as displayed by the Man in the Woods and his Super Bowl performance. I was very disappointed in that. I expected so much better. At any rate, when we come forward, we're going to get into the Love and Hip Hop star who's spilling tea on his sexual conquests. Are we doing too much of this? Is this still like men? Are we at that point now? We're also going to get into some more trending topics and headlines. We're going to talk numbers for Jada's memoir release and some other topics. So make sure that you are sticking and staying and ready for hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580 News and Sports on the other side.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A Baltimore, Maryland judge